Just in case you're wondering, was that a mouse slip? And h5, this is bizarre.
This is a very rare branch of the Sicilian. Both players already showing their aggressive intentions here. Magnus, whenever he opens 1e4 with white, whenever he goes into the open Sicilian, it means he's spoiling for a fight. He really backs himself, feeling confident. Firouzja, meanwhile, just the fact that he's employing this opening with black, kind of inviting an attack, shows that he's also scrapping for a fight. And
I think that will sort of get us a bit nearer to the truth of the position. I was going to recommend this move because with the move h5 from black, it seems like black's light square is a little bit more weakened there, like g6. And this move is a super aggressive move in this kind of structure. I really hope we see that because that'll be the most aggressive moves on the board. And black will wait to his counter chance. And this move is a bit close to my heart as well because this is what I call the Dragadorf. It's a mix between the dragon opening and the Najdorf. So we're getting some really funky stuff. And Magnus used to play this opening as black as well.
Very well-respected openings, but if often combining openings isn't the most consistent way to play, and Magnus now is not going to hesitate. Surely he's going to castle on the long side. There we go. Yeah, it's going to be fire it just in the next few moves.
Firouzja is calculating at this moment whether he can play that. So he has gone queen c7. There's so many little transpositions. It's a very rich structure here.
Especially not black, because, you know, and there we see b5 being played.
This last move is a very good move. I mean, the ideal setup for black is to develop his last piece, fianchetto it, take the sting out of that move. I can't really see much else. But if black can get both those moves in, knight b6, bishop b7, he has castled, I think. Is that right? Yeah. So that seems kind of...
That's a very gutsy move.
Just to show you, Simon, knight b6, I'm going to break through. I think I can play e5. If you take me, there would have been nasty sacrifices.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And if the queen moves away anywhere, then this would have been checkmate. So Firouzja made the best idea, made the best decision there.
Primarily thinking of getting rid of that bishop with knight c5, and the evaluation bar's like, uh-oh, not good news. But, I mean, why?
David, why is it so important to take an F1? Of course, it might be a really difficult move, but not for a player called Magnus Carlsen. There is, like you said, modern chess is so concrete, and he finds the best move. No surprises there.
Yeah, past generations would play maybe on instinct, on feel, on pattern recognition alone, but here it's kind of very specific. And they have no prejudice. If they see a move that looks strong, even if it kind of disobeys general principles, then they go for it, these top players, and that's why they're so strong. And instantly he knows, OK, he has to block in black's dark squared bishop. Watch out, big threat. Black is threatening bishop to h6 now. The dark squared bishop would actually skewer the white queen to the king. So I'm expecting Magnus to run. There we go. The other advice I always was told as a junior, if you castle queenside, always take a time out to shuffle your king towards the corner. It's always safe there.
I think
always a good idea.
When you go castle on the queen side, king b1 is just a move that you need to throw in. Where there's sometimes, even when our opponent doesn't have a direct threat, put that king on b1, get out of the c line, get out of the pins.
But do you know what I did instead, Tanya? I grabbed a pawn.
Oh,
and it was wrong. There you go.
The black king is about to come under some severe pressure.
Yeah.
Okay, he trades off this bishop first. Makes sense.
But are we going to be left with some knight versus bishop position where you can clearly see it's going to be a good knight versus bad bishop, including a weakness on the D line?
Yeah, I mean, black's just in a lot of trouble here. I mean, I thought this is maybe the best try, and the one thing I'd love to do with black is just put the bishop on e5, which is kind of a normal idea. But with this last move, there's another major hole, and this hole in the middle of the board.
Firouzja, he did all these moves, natural-looking moves, developing the queen, the bishop on the queen side, castling, and then suddenly he's dead lost with black. How does Magnus do this?
Yeah, I wish we knew. It's like a magic potion that he just has up his sleeve and somehow sprinkles this magic dust in the board. But it does look beautiful right now. And wow, OK, he goes for it. Throwing pawns forward. This is a sacrifice, but I think he's just banking on all the open files that are about to line up against that black king. It should be a decisive attack, and it's no surprise with such beautiful coordination, beautiful centralization for white that something like this would work now.
And that knight on e6, I mean, you would never want to pick up that g4 pawn, but you probably don't have an option because it's sort of choosing the lesser evil. You pick that up. That pawn's going to fall, but also the h line's open. The queen jumps into an attack. You go queen to f4. You're hitting the pawn on d6.
See. And the reason it's not a sacrifice is because you can't step up
f5.
with the f-pawn because the knight will come and deliver check.
Just putting pieces on good, healthy squares, and it's the pin. Pawn takes rook would lose the black queen, and this would end in checkmate. And okay, this is on the board, and I guess Firouzja's maybe banking on the fact this queen can move. Will he try and trade off queens? What's he going to try and do sooner or later? It just feels deadly. Something's happening along the H file.
Through the critical Tor points, the winner of Division 2 gets 50 Tor points as well as $10,000. So the fight is on. Follow it on Chess Dojo's Twitch channel. But I think it's impossible to leave this position that we have right now. We might even be seeing game over, a checkmate coming in soon. And Black has just not managed to get play going on the queen side. While White has exploded the king side, and all of that is being played out, queen h3, rook h4 on the board. How do you even defend that bishop? Okay, the only way to do it, pushes the pawn, but you're kind of making more weaknesses on the king side. Do you go rook h5 here?
And there we go.
Knight g5, a big threat on the board now.
Oof.
His last piece into the game. It's always nice when you get every single piece attacking. Well, not nice for Alireza, but nice for Magnus. And g4 seemed forced, but even just queen d3 here looks strong in this position. Maybe king g6 holds on.
On this square, and
can I recommend them? You want to go h3, don't you?
Oh, I
right,
didn't, but go for it.
Okay. No,
it's h3.
In the last position, I think.
Oh, in the
maybe,
previous position,
maybe. But I thought that was what you.
Here.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Maybe.
Wow, nice.
Some nonsense.
We might see this being played out. King g6 on the board.
It might not work at all, but.
Yeah. I mean, you do have tempting options. First, you could take this rook, but your own rook is trapped. Okay. Whoa, Firouzja's going for it. I was going to say here, maybe you take, and at the very end, you can pin this black rook. You are winning long term, but look at what's happened on the board. I wrote this one off. I said white is just guaranteed a checkmate, but Firouzja's calling Magnus's bluff. Where is the finish?
Oh.
Can we find it? Can we get there?
It's like Puzzle Rush, right?
There's so many tempting options. You need the knight to add it to the attack against the black king. Magnus has given a check, forcing the black king back.
Simon, your idea on the board, h3. You got to explain this to us. Why do you want to sacrifice this pawn, and how does it finish after g takes h3?
And okay, he hasn't taken it, but the black king is just so weak here. And knight and queen, they're the best attackers. When a knight and queen coordinate, they can often just cause so much chaos on the board.
And one pawn for the two black rooks, so technically level points, but it's just about the king's safety and the fact that what is still on the board clearly favours Magnus, and he's going to start munching on pawns at the very, very minimum. White's king still super safe, can slide to a2 if he wants, and is he going to start getting greedy now? Black's d6 pawn is up for grabs. You can give a couple of checks as well. There we go. And actually, white's d pawn might become a second queen. The white king is slightly more vulnerable, or at least slightly less comfortable. But first, it's Magnus to start checking.
Yeah, unfortunately, the open A line. Oh, and there's a check there. The open A line can be closed off at the very least by playing b3, b4. So I don't see the danger for Magnus.
That would be so professional to put in b4 when the fire is on one side of the board.
No, I'd just be looking at checkmate here, not closing up that file. And
oh, this is a nice move.
Yeah, attacking the rook.
Attacking the rook.
And I don't think Alireza can be too upset here because he's
going to make on time. He moves the rook. And also notice how the queen, if it would have captured the rook, it was defending the h1 square. So you didn't have time to take on b3 because rook h1 wasn't checkmate. So everything just falls into place in White's position. And just 5 seconds for Alireza, he makes a move. Rook to a7. We might be seeing your move, just shutting down the play on the queen side.
That would be unfortunate, let's say.
That would be very prophetic.
I mean, there's little tricks. You could go queen d3 and d7, but maybe this is what Magnus is calculating, but it does allow some checks if you play that way. So this is, you have to be careful, and he has played this. And d7 is the move you want to play, but rook h1, king a2, take on b3 check, king takes b3, and you're safe. But it's a little bit like, I want to play b4 now, It's kind of like, ooh, I just want to keep it safe. Because you just have to calculate quite carefully here. I think this is winning for white, but, just Magnus taking a couple of seconds to do that. And I don't think, Alireza should be that upset with this game because he got a rotten opening, right? And he didn't really get a chance. I mean, I don't know where he should have played differently. Maybe it was as simple as it was just a very bad opening.
But, I'll push back on that because that seemed like the storyline between the Fabi-Nordebek game. Fabi in that game 1, that felt like solid opening prep. Here, it just felt like he got outplayed. It wasn't a miniature. It wasn't a result just out of the opening. With every move, his advantage kept going, increasing on and on. And I think it's really difficult to lose game 1 in this way. And to me, I was hoping for an Armageddon, but with the way we've just seen him outplay Firouzja, I don't think we're getting that.
Yeah.
He's got white in the next game, so you know, don't let's not write him off yet.
I do think it was a bad opening. I think pushing the H pawn 2 squares and then being careless with the king and then jumping with the knight, not anticipating some captures, was too much for such a razor-sharp position. And Magnus...